Okay, it took a little long to get to the probing section, which is fine because the probing section is really important. And if you guys have any questions, whoever is doing the pilot with me with RCPD, please reach out to your specialist. They'll be able to reach out with me to me if they can't answer any questions that you have. So step one is probing. Now, after you're doing your probing, that's going to be done prior to your first lecture and prior to any lecture that you have. So you do your probing for that reading assignment. That will prompt you for what is going to be going on and spoken about throughout the lecture. So that way you'll be able to be present while you're in the lecture. You'll know what the lecture is about. You have already probed your reading assignment. You know what the learning objectives are, so you'll be able to pick up on the different notes that you're going to take. So this will be the page for your lecture notes. So any important topics, any learning objectives that the professor hits on, any hints that the professor gives that where he may say, okay, this is important, you may need to remember this. Anything that you've noticed from your probing section, any keywords or learning objectives that he hit on, write those things here. Any expanded information that he gives, if you go into further explanation of different theories or different learning objectives, that you will write here, that information here. Now, this box here is for questions for your professor. If you have any questions for him and you're not able to ask the question during class, write that in this box, okay? If someone else asks a question that you feel is relevant or important, you write that question down because you're going to want to look at that later on in the throughout the process. So that's what you would do for your lecture notes. Now, it's really important after you do your lecture notes, you need to go over your lecture notes. So as soon as you possibly can, please review your lecture notes. Now, this is the next page. It's formatted the same way as the lecture notes. This is all included in future lecture notes. So here you will go over all of the important topics that you wrote in that box, and then you will review those notes here. So you will write your understanding of what all the important topics that were discussed throughout the lecture and also your understanding from your reading assignment. Here is a prompt for you to be able to identify any areas that you have struggled with. So if you're struggling with any topics that your professor he or she discussed throughout the class, or any topics that were brought up from your reading assignment that you may need to study a little bit more, or that you may need to get some more information on that, this is a prompt here for you to be able to be self-aware of your understanding of what you're learning. Again, I have another question box here for the professor. While you're reviewing your notes and while you're going over those things, you may have some questions. Write it down so that you don't forget. Because the next class, you can ask your professor, or you can schedule a time for some office hours or meet with your TA, or you may have a study group. So these are prompts to make you self aware of your status and where you are as far as your understanding for this class.